welcome to Module 2. This module I feel is going to be probably the most time-consuming and taking the most effort of all of our modules. However, I also feel like this is the module where we really get into the meat and potatoes, what's really most important here and what I hope you walk away with. We're going to be focusing on two of the International Dyslexia Association Learning Standards for Teachers of Reading in this module. We're going to be starting with Standard E, which is Multisensory Structured Language Teaching, and then also Standard B, which is the knowledge of the structure of language. In Standard E, the Multisensory Structured Language Teaching, this, when I learned the strategies behind this method, it changed everything I do as far as my instruction goes. I had already been aware of including as many of the senses as possible when I teach, but this made me realize that for students who are really struggling, they need even more of that. It's something that we need to emphasize even more and bring as many of the senses in as we possibly can into what we're teaching. So you're going to be reading an introduction on multisensory structured language teaching, and I think that you'll find that you already use a lot of these strategies in your teaching with your students. It's just some other strategies that you will pick up, and also just different ways of using the senses in instruction. Also, I think that you'll find that these strategies are going to be effective for any student. Your most struggling students, of course, will benefit, but really all students will benefit from this type of instruction. So you'll read the introduction. You'll also read about what multisensory structured language teaching is and what's different about this method than more traditional methods of teaching. You're going to read and explore some resources to find out what multisensory structured language teaching actually looks like in each of the 5 different literacy areas. And then you'll also be watching some videos of multisensory structured language teaching lessons in action with a student. And then you'll be doing your first footprint. And this footprint is going to be another 3-2-1 writing. In this assignment, you're going to be writing about 3 examples that you saw in the multisensory structured language teaching lessons. And you're also going to be writing 2 questions that you have about how to use multisensory structured language in your own teaching. And then 1 suggestion that you can offer to improve the multisensory structured language techniques that you saw in the lesson videos. And then also we're going to do a wrap-up footprint, which will be a discussion. I want you to post examples of multisensory structured language teaching example or methods of strategies that you have already used in your classroom or in your teaching. And then also please discuss 1 strategy or method of multisensory structured language teaching that you would like to implement. So you'll be posting on that discussion, and then after you post, I'd like you to reply to 2 others so that we can learn from each other in that way. Then we'll be moving on to Standard B, and that was the knowledge of the structure of language. This also is meat and potatoes. This is very important because our students who are struggling with reading, spelling, writing, it doesn't come easy for them. Language is it's a deficit for them. So we want to find out as many tools as we can, understand the English language inside and out, so that we can provide that to our students and then give them those tools to be able to understand and unlock the code of English even easier and better than they currently do. So you'll be reading an introduction on the knowledge of the structure of language. Now, some of it may be review. If you already know this information, feel free to kind of skim and scan. But it also, if you're not so familiar with parts of it, please dive into it and get as much out of it as you can. You're going to be reading to learn about phonological processing deficits and the areas in which our struggling students can be affected by these deficits. You'll also be reading about other deficits that can affect dyslexic students, such as letter naming accuracy and speed. You'll explore some resources about phonics and syllables and morphemes. Morphemes are the smallest unit of meaning in a word. Morphemes are talking about prefixes, suffixes, and roots. And then reading to find out how English spelling actually does make sense most of the time by reviewing some English spelling patterns and guidelines and some generalizations and rules as far as spelling goes. And then at the end of this standard of this module, I'd like you to take a quiz on the structure of English and the things that you've gathered from using the resources in this part of the lesson. That's a chance for you to show what you know. I want this to be a formative assessment, so I'll take the highest score that you get. You can retake it as many times as you like, and I'd like you really to use it to further your understanding so that you can feel like after you're done with this quiz, you have what you need to be able to give this information then to your students to help them do the unlocking of the Code of English. All right, there you go. Explore, have fun, great learning, and I'll see you back soon.